Well, everyone, we're so glad you could be with us tonight. Thank you for coming in and wanting to be part of the Six Screens Telenetwork. Wow, we have got a really good program coming up here now. Fran and Joe, they're former Jehovah's Witnesses. They've only been out of the watch now for about a year and a half. And they wanted to come on and talk about what they plan on doing. They are doing a great job bringing former Jehovah's Witnesses together, having meetups, get togethers, phone friends. So that seems to be what their mission is, and they are doing a great job at it. So we're going to bring Fran and Joe on. And I just want to make an announcement, too, for those on YouTube. Friends, tonight we're going to have a spectacular program all night long. But I'll tell you, at 9 o'clock, we have got a program with a former Jehovah's Witness. Her name is Deborah Hines. Deborah Hines was horrifically sexually abused in the Watchtower when she was just a young girl. And she was actually abused in the Watchtower headquarters in Brooklyn, New York. She went to the officials, she even went to a governing body. No one listened to her. Deborah sued the Watchtower and she won. She's coming on tonight. She's coming on tonight to tell us all about the lawsuit and everything that took place. You don't want to miss the program. It's horrific. So that's it. That's coming on later on at 9 o'clock. Well, we're going to cut to Fran and Joe right now. So let's bring them in. Let's add them to the stream. Hello, Fran. Hello, Joe.
Hello. Joe will be right here. Hello, everyone.
All right. So, Fran, I'll leave it up to you. I'll dip in the background and you take the program away.
Okay. And if anyone has any problems hearing us, let us know. We're using our laptop tonight, and there's a fan in the background. So please let us know if you can hear us. So, and we'll be watching the comments too for everyone chatting. But we just want to say hello to everyone. Hope your official summer is going well. We had the first day of summer the other day, the 21st, and we've been busy. We've been cleaning out and clearing out. We just have a lot of stuff. And ever since we've been on the outside, we have more time to be able to do these things. Okay, so I'm going to turn this down. Okay, yep. All right. Hello, Jay, and hello, Mary and John. Thank you for letting us know that you can hear us. So, you gotta come in closer.
I don't think our chairs allow it.
Okay, how about, there we go. Okay.
Hello.
So your theme tonight was, what's your exit strategy for your outside story?
Yeah, that's the theme. Exit strategy. When we want to do something, usually we have to think ahead about how to do it. And if it's something that's involved, or or there's consequences involved, if you make a change, then you've got to have some strategy for it. The reason being is that so many people don't like to make changes because it upsets their regular routines, and it could even result in a loss, even though most people make changes because of a gain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why do anything if there isn't some kind of reward, or unless you're going to avoid some kind of problem?
Mm-hmm.
We either want to avoid a problem,
right,
or we want to achieve some kind of reward, or both. Otherwise, why do anything? Just protect what's going on and don't upset the apple cart. But if there's a need for that, then we have to think about it, because making one change sometimes results in some unwanted situations. Well, we don't want unwanted situations. And like they say, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Well, we want to avoid that. We're talking about something, though, for regarding this Watchtower organization. I won't call it the truth because it's not the truth. We'll call it the Watchtower Corporation, organization, whatever. And many people are finding out that basically they're a criminal organization. The once President Joseph Rutherford, was very correct in saying religion is a snare and a racket. And then he thought he would be smart and tactical, and by saying false religion is a snare and a racket. Well, that was correct, true. Also, he wanted to give the impression that all the other religions except theirs is the snare and the racket. Theirs is the only true religion. Well, they've lied throughout the whole situation. There's so many situations that they've prophesied or promised or said they simply did not come out. Many situations, and we're not going to run through those situations. We're really not going to. It's been shown, and we all know. And if we don't know, don't hesitate to look into it.
Jay calls him Ruther fraud.
Yeah, very much a
Ruther fraud.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some call him Ruther freak and so many other nasty things too, and they're all fitting, very fitting, because they've hurt people. Their fraud has hurt people deeply. So the point now is to make a change. If you're part of the organization, well, it's time we're no longer part of that organization, because we're giving our money to it. We're giving our emotional energy, our psychic energy, our physical, every bit of ourselves they're getting. If a person is in that organization, they're going to extract everything from you that they can, because that's their nature. They're exploiting, and that's what they do. They exploit. And the biggest problem that many are responding to that they do is they've been covering up pedophilia, child sexual abuse, not only covering it up, but providing a safe haven for the pedophiles. That makes everything a criminal organization for them doing that. They're hiding criminals, and they're aiding and abetting criminals. So as a result, we, for our part, said, that's it. We're done. No more. Out. Gone. The consequences there of leaving, though, are significant, though, because cults don't let you leave without making you feel it, without injuring you, or without stealing or taking something from you. And what did you see that they do or take? What was the consequence of that you saw?
Well, right off, they took our family away. I mean, we lost our 4 children. They haven't spoken with us, and we know that there's friends that haven't spoken with their children in years. So, I mean, we're just new to this, but we knew that we would lose contact with them. The only thing we hear about them are when we talk to our brothers or sisters, because they never became witnesses, our fleshly brothers and sisters. And they kind of, from time to time, they'll talk to them and find out what's going on. So that was the first thing we lost. And what else?
Now, just for some details, though, maybe some might say, well, look, maybe your children, your family didn't like the fact that you abandoned them. Maybe they felt we were being disloyal to them. Maybe, and then they said among themselves, they felt that they were hurt. Well, I'm sure there was a degree of that. There's no question. But the bigger problem is that immediately after we found out and we related, we told the elders in our congregation, we wanted to let them know what we found, and we're concerned. We also let a longtime witness who actually brought us into the truth and he became a circuit overseer, high level, and the name is Houghton's, Dan Houghton, and his wife. But they were special pioneers, and they were very special. They truly were they made themselves very special. They brought a powerful Watchtower influence into the congregation. They got many pioneers to come out. I think they were up to how many? 20?
They were up to like almost 30 at one time.
30
they had
pioneers.
32 pioneers.
Yeah, he was a very high performance producer, so to speak, in the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew what he was doing. And what he did after we told him, because we told him our concerns, we were concerned about this. We thought he'd be concerned. And his attitude was, well, they knew about it, and they're doing something about it. I said, I don't think you're doing that much about it, Dan. And then from my concern, he basically determined that I was an apostate. I'm sounding like an apostate. I said, apostate? I'm concerned about the criminal activity that's taking place and people getting hurt. I said, had I known this in the beginning, we never would have even gotten involved with Jehovah's Witnesses. Never. It was total fraud. They hid that from us because it was going on for decades, many decades. At any rate, he immediately, behind our backs, went to our children, our family, and basically influenced them to stop talking to us because we're dangerous. We were dangerous because we were making them aware that we were aware
Mm-hmm.
of the pedophilia. Well, they determined that was worthy of our being shunned. So they started shunning us right away. They did that. And that's how they act. That's how they behave. So at any rate, strategy. My strategy at that point was to let them know. Well, had I known that it would be such an immediate situation, I don't know if we would have done that. I don't know. But on the other hand, our concern was to let them know something that was important.
Yeah, if I can just say something, Joe and I are the sort of people, when we find out about something, it's really hard for us to contain ourselves or to hide it. Our children knew immediately that there was something going on because, well, our daughter said to me, Mom, you're not as, I don't know, she said, she didn't say zealous, but she says you're kind of blah as far as the organization went, because I was auxiliary pioneering and always talking about, the friends and studies and calls and all this and that. And I just dropped right out from 1 month to hardly doing anything. So they picked up on that. And so the strategy we thought was to fade, was to be PIMO. And they had
PIMO, for those that don't know, is physically in but mentally out. And that was the time of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so they had a warning talk. They called it a warning talk. They didn't call it a marking talk. They were trying to be, because we're older and we had a good reputation.
We were how do I want to say, a model family in that organization. I mean, it was almost embarrassing. Unfortunately, I'm ashamed of that at this point.
I am too.
I'm ashamed that we've got sucked into that situation. At any rate, so had people, friends, the people noticed that we were vocally against, it would have meant something, because they looked up to us for what we thought and believed and did. And so the elders were doing what they could to kind of hide that. But the first thing they felt they needed to do is to give a warning talk. They were warning everybody in the congregation to watch out for anyone that speaks negatively about the organization.
They were actually teaching the congregation about PIMO.
Yeah.
They said, now there's something called PIMO.
Yep.
And the elder's up there and he's spelling it out. So PIMO, that stands for physically in, mentally out. So some in the congregation, obviously they didn't give our names, but they said, if you notice, anything, they're speaking out against anything, you don't have to associate with them if you don't feel comfortable. You don't have to go to their home. You don't have to have them over for dinner. He was going right into this whole thing. And I said to Joe, Joe, they're talking about us, because they didn't tell us they were going to do this morning talk. And this was on Zoom. It was during COVID.
And inadvertently, they were also talking about others in the congregation that were PIMO, who didn't realize that there was a name for them. So no doubt there were others in the congregation who were in our same situation who didn't want to be there, but they were there because if they weren't there, there would have been ramifications. Maybe they would have start getting shunned. They would become bad association, no longer an approved associate. There are no friends in that organization.
Right. Oh, it's called, Joe came up with AA. We
Approved
belong to the AA.
Yeah, the approved associates.
That's what we did belong to.
Yeah. In other words, they're not friends. They couldn't possibly be friends, because at a drop of a hat, they would drop the other person. All they were is approved associates. Well, we immediately became disapproved associates. And the elder and that CO made sure that that we would feel it. At any rate, at that point.
Oh, can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
So SDR says, I never knew about marking talks when I studied. Well, we never knew about them either.
A lot of things.
But you find out pretty quick, after you come to some meetings and they're giving this talk, but they're kind of being vague.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's all that about? And why are these people sitting in the back and nobody can talk to them? But they don't tell you that either when you're studying.
No, it's such a horribly sneaky, dishonest organization. They just suck people in. They snare. That's why it's called a snare. Okay. Snare is something that if for an animal, the animal sees food, that's what it's going for. It's going for the food. But a trap is hidden within that food. It's just bait. That snare is going to get them. It's going to trap them to their death. And unless they figure out a way to get out of that snare, they're dead. All because they were looking for something good. Well, that's what most people are looking for in the congregation. Unless, of course, they're pedophiles. In which cases, there are pedophiles. Men, or even women, who are looking for people, young ones, to exploit. So not everybody looking toward that organization is looking for something good. Mm-hmm. They're looking.
Right. They have motives.
They're criminals, and they're looking to do criminal activity.
Yeah.
At any rate, so now the goal was at that point to exit, but how? We didn't start speaking against everybody. We didn't make it known. We didn't transmit information to others. We didn't do that. But after a lot of thinking and talking to others, we realized we absolutely did not want to stay connected.
But before that, we went to the lawyer.
We went to a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because we didn't want our name mentioned in the congregation. I didn't want to put ourselves nor our family through that. Our 4 children were also in. So we went to a lawyer and we drafted a letter, and he didn't understand the situation, but I explained it to him. And I drafted the letter, and I wanted it to come from them. And so it did. And of course, that cost something, but it was not that much of a problem. And basically, we told them that we don't want our name mentioned. If they mention it, we'll bring whatever legal action against them and the people that do it. We weren't about to make enemies, but we just wanted to let them know that we weren't interested in having any kind of slander or anything like But then, past a certain point, we did not want to stay in, and we want to make it visible and complete disconnect. So at that point, we gave them permission. We gave them permission to announce our name, and we requested that they announce our name in the congregation because we wanted to be known that we wanted out. And I didn't write them a letter. It wasn't a disassociation letter. There was no explanations or anything. I wrote them, it was on a postcard, a flimsy little postcard. And I had said, I give you permission to announce our name, and we request that you announce our name to be no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
So just as a time frame, that was like a year from the time that we found out about the child's sexual abuse and went to the elders until the time that we actually sent our postcard, our disassociation postcard in. So it was a year. So that's why our exit took that much time. Others do it shorter and others do it longer, depending on your situation.
It was our strategy. It was our strategy. It's personal. The reason being is there's going to be losses and gains. The gain is that we were no longer supporting a criminal organization. I no longer wanted to be identified as one of those connected to that organization because it's criminal, absolutely criminal, and fraudulent. But on the other hand, the losses is the fact that we immediately lost the connection, the interaction of our family and the other people. I'm not going to call the people in the congregation our friends. They were not friends. They were approved associates. As soon as we found out what we found out, as soon as we went online looking for any evidence or confirmation about the pedophilia, it's just looking that we became disapproved associates just by looking for information. Mm-hmm. That's the way they roll. We were disapproved. We disapproved ourselves, which is fine. I was more than happy to lose connection with those people and that organization. We unfortunately we don't approve of having lost our connection with our family. But unfortunately, that's part of the loss that we couldn't control. They're adults. Our family makes their decisions. Mm-hmm. And if they ever choose to come around to a different decision, they can make another decision. And I hope they do.
We were talking to someone from Massachusetts, someone that we went out to visit the beginning of the month, and she told us that the elders were actually the son-in-law called the husband and said that one of their sons, they were going to disfellowship him. Well, they didn't even have a judicial committee or anything. And so the father right away called the elders and said, if you do anything, if you say our son's name, if you defame his character, because he has a good reputation in the community, if you do anything such like that, I have a lawyer. We will pursue this. And I think as soon as they hear lawyer, I think they back off, because they did not bother us that whole time after we did that lawyer letter. They did not bother us. They didn't call us, nothing. I think they were just waiting to see what we were going to do. So, right. So that's one strategy. It seems to work. If anyone else has used that strategy, it'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, that was our strategy. Now, I'm not recommending it to anybody. What I'm saying is that you've got to, every one of you who wants out, you're going to have to come up with your own strategy. You're going to have to acknowledge and face whatever losses or gains as a result of that, making that change. And if you don't, let's say, well, why? I don't have a clue. I don't know what to do. Well, you know a little bit about what we did, but the more you talk with others who were in that situation, who were PIMO, but then wanted out, and what they're doing, you'll gain some insight as to how you should conduct your situation. Anyone associated with that organization is going to suffer loss. I don't care who it is. Anybody, everybody associated with that organization is going to suffer loss and probably injury, one way or the other. One way or the other. Criminal injury, emotional injury, psychological injury, whatever, physical. They're going to encounter a loss. The question is, you can control whatever those losses are, and you need to be very clear on your values, what your value system is, not someone else's, but yours. So it's time to obviously to search in your heart what values are deepest for you, your deepest values, and then act accordingly. We don't know how things are going to continue. We do know that many people are getting out. They are. Rick continues to find new people. We hear of new people calling in who are getting out every day, or new people are PIMO. And incidentally, and the thing that I had to account for is if I'm PIMO, if we were PIMO, physically in, mentally out, that means our count, our being in, was supporting the very organization that was doing the injury to others. And we personally didn't find that acceptable for us to continue to quietly and secretly, covertly support an organization, a criminal organization. So at that point, we weren't about to go playing a game. I'm not saying someone else should duplicate what we did. I'm not saying you need to get out as quickly as your PIMO and you find out. That's your situation. You have your own situation to acknowledge. Maybe there's grandparents that don't want to lose their grandchildren. And I understand that. Or wives that don't want to lose husbands don't want to lose wives. Whatever situation, you have relationships to protect, and you need to protect those special relations. On the other hand, maybe you need to make changes in those relationships. Maybe you actually have been part of a toxic relationship, a toxic marriage relationship, a toxic family relationship. And the longer you maintain that relationship, the longer the toxic effects are going to hurt you and others. And maybe a change is warranted at that point. Time to think deeply about your situation. They say things aren't always done to us. They're done for us. So we have the opportunity to do something that benefits us.
We know someone who calls us regularly, and we won't use his name, but he's 75 years old and he's been in for 52 years, and he goes to the Sunday meeting because he's got family in, and he said it makes him physically ill, emotionally ill. And I was just reading Morning Glory says, I couldn't remain PIMO once I learned the truth regarding Watchtower. Every meeting attendance thereafter, I felt physically sick.
Yeah.
So you have to think of your health. You have to think of your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. So that's again something to consider in the exit strategy.
Another family that we know, the mother is the son and the mother were in organization together. The mother is in her 80s, they had 70s, 80s.
Mhm.
It's all they know. It's all she knows.
Mhm.
That's her support.
Mhm.
That's her life. That's her emotional reality. That's her deepest values. What should she do? It's totally her business what she should do. It's her business. Son supports her, lives with her. Does son want to see her disrupted like that? She's every one of us is going to die sooner rather than or later. So, but the older a person is, how do they want to live out the rest of their life? Would you want an older person to uh, end up being so emotionally and spiritually distraught because of some big upheaval, or are they at the point where they just need to maintain a semblance of stability so that their health and happiness remains? That has to be considered. Any questions or responses anywhere?
Someone there? It sounds like someone wants to call in.
Hi. Hi, Joe. Hi, Fran. It's Nadine.
Hi, Nadine.
Hi, Nadine.
Hi. How are you two doing?
Good, thank you. How about you?
Oh, good. I'm good. I just wanted to tell you about this quote, and this is from the September 2023 Watchtower study. Okay, I'm going to read it. It says, if your friends do not love Jehovah, you do not need them. And that is in the September 2023 Watchtower study.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, they're really coming down hard on them because they're really trying to discourage anyone from getting close to apostates or PIMOs or anyone that's not fully in.
Well, that organization is falling apart. I mean, they're losing their money with all the people that are leaving. They're losing big time. So they're in saving themselves mode, survival mode. So what they're going to do, they're going to try harder and harder and harder, put more and more and more and more pressure on the individuals who are in. They say that happens with any organization that's failing, any other business corporation, any kind of corporation that's failing. They put tremendous pressure on the individuals. They double down, and they make their lives harder and harder because they don't want people to make changes.
Not only are they telling you if your friends do not love Jehovah, you do not need them. This goes for family also.
Yep.
Yep.
So a lot of people, when they're going to see that, since they follow what happens in New York, what comes down from New York, they're just going to automatically believe it and then drop even more people. And it's just really a shame that men in New York can dictate to people who should be your friend and who should not be your friend.
Well, they can. Well, that's true, Nadine. They can dictate it, but it doesn't mean people have to comply. See, it's a two-way street.
Right.
The dictator, if the dictator doesn't have subjects, he has no power. Someone has to place themselves in subjection. So,
unfortunately, they do have people that do this.
That's
and
right.
They'll drop your friends, they'll drop their relatives.
That's right.
And it's really a shame. It's how much control they have. Now, maybe they're losing control, but they still do have control over a lot of people.
No, they absolutely do have control because they are given that authority. The individuals that are in there give them the authority. It's a two-way street. They may be a criminal organization, but you don't have to support a criminal organization. It's a choice. The people are choosing to support that. Some know it. They know everything that's going on and they maintain that. Others don't know. They think it's God's organization, the only true organization. They're totally deceived. But the fact remains, they are still giving authority to those people. It's our responsibility. It's the individual's responsibility to behave like a moral creature. And it's not. Is it morally right, upright, to give authority to a criminal organization? And so many are waking up and they're saying, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. I will not give them credit. I will not give them authority. Yeah. Will everybody wake up? Nope, not everybody will do that. In fact, the Bible's clear. It said that outside are those that love the lie. So we're gonna watch people, maybe even our own family members, who prefer the lie. They prefer the comfort and security of that organization.
Yeah, our son, who's an elder, he even said, "It makes me feel comfortable. I find comfort in this being a Jehovah's Witness. I find comfort in it."
Yeah, I mean, young or old, it's an individual's prerogative. It really is. It's not up to me to say what a person should or shouldn't do. It's up to me with myself and our family as a couple. It's for us to determine together what we want to do for our marriages and our integrity. But I can't make that choice for my family. But I can only hope that we can have a relationship with those that we love. So again, for anybody, the point here is, if you're PIMO, you need an exit strategy. If you have no, let's say you're PIMO, well, I'm going to stay in until I die. Well, that's your prerogative. We don't judge that, but the reality is that think about why you're mentally out, and you might actually be putting yourself in conflict. You're an organization that you judge to be wrong, and maybe it's doing some things that are harmful, but yet you have reasons. You're giving yourself reasons to stay in, and that's something that it's yours to acknowledge.
I think for a lot of the senior citizens, sometimes churches are the only support group they have.
Yeah,
that's true.
Absolutely.
What I'm seeing is when the families are broken up, then some of these Watchtower pioneers waltz in with that giving statement and say, "Don't you want to give us your property?" And they've ignored the fact that there are living adult children to inherit. And they're really working it to their advantage. And I've talked to authorities about this, so people are aware of it.
Yeah.
It's almost like a long-term romance scheme because they win the trust of the older person.
Yeah. Oh no, they're leeches. They're absolute leeches. They're going to go out of their way. They're going to keep those older folks in so that they can get their money
and their property.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever value they have, they're going to get it. So whatever security they may think and feel is there, they're going to have to acknowledge that it's going to be taken. It's going to be taken from someone else, and that's their business. I mean, let's say the parent says, "Well, I don't want my family to get my money or my property. I want it to go to the organization because they're going to use it for God's kingdom." I mean, that's their business. That is their business. If they're
Yeah,
fooled,
but
they're
the
fooled.
authorities are aware of it. And also, as sad as it is, Medicare does pay for hospice care. And some of these pioneers were like, well, we'll do this. And I'm like, no, this is part of everyone's Medicare and Medicaid. So they've used a lot of lies
Yeah.
to try to win over the older person that may even have some dementia. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, they call that theocratic warfare, I think, don't they? Lying.
Yeah, and I call it con artist fraud.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
Well, Rutherford was he red pilled everybody right in the beginning. He red pilled everybody.
Yeah. Good show.
Mm-hmm. So the point is here, let's say a person's PIMO, they're in, but they're mentally out. Do they have an exit strategy? It's totally up to them. Or are they going to stay in till they die because they don't want to disrupt something? Or on the other hand, do they say, no, I'm not going to stay in. I can't stand it. I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out. Well, you need a strategy. And if you're not sure what to do, talk to others that have. And
Yeah. If you're a young person and you're living at home, you may have to, figure that out, how you're going to. First, you're going to have money.
get a job.
You're going to have to get a job and save up your money. It's not, you don't want to be out on the streets. You don't want to be homeless if you can help it.
No, you
And
don't.
and if anyone is right now, and they need someone to connect to, let us know, because we have connections all over the country.
There are so many people, and I will call them friends. They are friends. We have encountered so many, not only on the trip that we took when we went cross country, but over the phone. And we're witnessing beautiful friendships being cultivated, real friendships, not this prescribed friendship relationships that you see in that organization. That's not friendship. That is not friendship. There are people caring, loving, and helping people. And you never know. Someone might have an arrangement that you need, and they let you know, and now you have a positive situation. And that's we have people sharing and interacting. So if anyone's in a situation where they have need, or they can help someone in need in any different way, could be any way, maybe just knowledge, maybe with employment situations, maybe housing situations, could be anything. Just
Maybe just someone to talk to.
Let us know.
You need that emotional support.
Call us, let us know, and then we can transmit to them.
There was one of the friends called during the week, and all she could tell me was that she was at the hospital, and then she says, I got to go. And she didn't call back for a couple of days. And what happened is she has a situation where if she gets too anxious, her heart really does a number on her. So she also takes care of her husband that has Alzheimer's. And she wasn't thinking ahead that something could trigger her. Well, one day they were going to go on a trip. Something triggered her. She only was with her husband and had the dog, and she had to get to a hospital, and she went to the emergency room. The emergency room couldn't handle her husband. So finally, the people at the emergency room, the doctors, nurses, says, is there anyone that you can call? And she said, well, I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I don't have any real friends. They're very fake and phony friends. And then finally, there was someone that she could call nearby, and came and helped out with her husband and took the dog to a shelter. But that's a very life or death situation when you're in that, and here you have no one that you can call. And she called me, but here we are
3,000
miles away. So it's not like I could rush right over there, and I didn't know exactly what was going on.
But the further development to any story like that is we know of more people in California
Mhm.
who link together. So now they discover their neighbors who are
Mhm.
friends through the connection that we all help pull together.
Mhm.
So don't hesitate to let us know who you are and where you are, because we know a lot of others that we can connect you with each other, and it really is so rewarding.
We have folks that tell us, "Oh, we talked to so and so. We talked for 4 hours, and they had so much in common and so many things to relate." So it is really beautiful.
We're finding very beautiful things taking place.
Yeah.
Now, there's another issue too with being out. Let's say PIMI is physically in, mentally in.
Mhm.
PIMO, physically in but mentally out. And there's something called POMO, physically out and mentally out. That means I'm out and I don't think like one of those JWs. My thinking is in the world. Call it worldly. How about that? Worldly thinking. Here's a thumbs up for worldly thinking. It's healthy. It's a range of healthy and effective. We need thinking ability and knowing strategies, and we need to know how people interact and to develop these arrangements with other people, all kinds of people. In other words, we don't need to be judgmental. We're not judges. No, witnesses are judges. We're not judges. So when we're out, we're not supposed to go being judgmental. Well, the problem is, if a person is physically out, they could be mentally in. They could still be thinking like a witness. They could still be judging things as a witness. They could still be looking at others with witness eyes and witness heart, where it's judgmental. And we discovered that with someone the other day. It was a young couple, younger than us, in the 40s, who were here, and they've been out for more than a decade, out from when they was very young. But yet they're still in, and they're thinking. Now here, the person's a younger person. He's in his 40s, and we were discussing things, points of view, maybe some politics stuff, value system, social situations. And through interacting with this person, it's like they couldn't accept that someone might think differently than them. In other words, I had to acknowledge his values. If I didn't accept his values, then he couldn't he couldn't accept that. That's like, he's still a witness. He's out. He's been out, but he's been affected as a witness, and he was born in. He was a born-in individual person, and until he realized, we had him over for dinner one night, and we got into discussions there, and we basically found out that they're still that way, and we even continued the discussion on certain different issues. Texting the next day, and I was being very patient with him, and he was doing everything he could to get me to have to accept his brand of reality. He couldn't accept the fact that there was another point of view. Witnesses do not like people who think with a different point of view. They can't accept that. They have to be right. They have to be the one who determines how you should think. that's the role that they've taken on. And here he's been out for years.
9 years.
9
9
years.
years. Yeah.
So he's physically out, but mentally in. And maybe we can all fall into that trap and situation, especially if we were born in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were not born in. I was raised a Catholic. Fran was raised a Catholic. We were baptized a Catholic. They tell me that anyway. I mean, I was little. I was an infant. So it's infant baptism, whatever that means. And now, do I think like a Catholic? Well, that's a good question. And I'll continue to analyze that and consider that, if I'm thinking like a Catholic, because I don't want to think like a Catholic. It's like I'm more than a Catholic, because that might not actually help my relationships. In other words, want to befriend somebody, now I got to start pushing a Catholic mindset or a Catholic value system. It's like, why would I do that? Well, I know why a witness would do that, because they've been, from birth, they've been tasked, assigned to make other witnesses. Got to make a witness. Everybody's got to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I got to make them one. Well, that goes deep. That goes very deep. They don't know how to take no for an answer. They do not take no for an answer. No, I'm not interested. Oh, well, I'll stop back. No, I'm not interested. Slam the door, do something. I'm very serious, because they simply do not know how to accept reality. It's an emotional deficit. It really is an emotional deficit that they have. And it results in toxic relationships, because they won't develop a healthy interaction with other people. It's got to be their way, or you're unacceptable. It's like, no. So we have to be very careful. If you were born in, think about what kind of relationships you want to develop with somebody. What
Yeah, we just need
What do
to.
you think?
I think it's the judgmental thing. It goes very deep. We have to be very careful. I mean, I catch myself sometimes being that way. And you have to, kind of listen to yourself or the person closest to you. Say, boy, you thought pretty highly of yourself, or, So we have to be careful of that.
Yeah. So it's a good time to analyze ourselves in light of others. And if you don't know, well, open yourself up to others who you normally wouldn't involve yourself with. They're all different sorts of people, different persuasions, be it, emotional persuasions, sexual persuasion, financial situations. See what it means to get along with people that are nothing like you. Nothing like you.
Yeah, I think one of the things being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, you're told they're worldly people, they're bad. You can't associate with them. Well, then once you're on the outside, now you have to make friends with
That's
these
right.
so-called worldly people. Well, the worldly people are not bad. I mean, there's some very good people out there, very decent people. Is someone wanting to say something?
Yeah, I mean,
Hi, this is Linda. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Oh, Joe and Nancy Friend. Hi.
Hi,
I
who
would
is that?
talk about the word worldly,
Yeah.
and we have any of us that have spent any time in the organization, or a lot of high control groups have made that word worldly very negative. But in actuality, if you look it up in the dictionary, it just means that someone is savvy and like they're well traveled and
Yes.
they're experienced. So
Yes.
it's really something that doesn't. They've made it. They've used loaded language to make it a bad word, when in actuality, being worldly is a good word.
Yes.
If you gain some wisdom from your experiences, that's what
Yeah.
worldly is.
Yeah, you made me think the way I've heard it spoken as worldly wise. Worldly wise,
Yes,
which is
exactly.
a good
Yeah.
thing. You want to be worldly wise because
So they've related it to Jesus not being part of the world, and then so anybody of the world is worldly, and the whole loaded language that us and them kind of black and white crap. But worldly is a good thing.
Yes.
and this is where I truly appreciate the comment and the insight there. What's done that now? This is not Bible direction. This did not come from Bible direction. This came from the Watchtower publication direction. That 32-page little pamphlet, originally 32, then I think it went down to 16.
Yeah. It's very small.
That it was the most powerful propagandizing, mind controlling instrument. It was an instrument designed to affect people's thinking, to change it over to the way they wanted individuals to think. And so in that respect, that publication, that Watchtower publication, truly did unify people in thinking that was very unhealthy. It got people to look at others as enemies
Mm-hmm.
and to become elitists.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What is the name of this publication that you're talking about?
Can you speak up a little bit, Bebe?
I asked, what is the name of the publication that you're remembering? What is the name of it?
It's that famous publication called The Watchtower.
Oh, any of them. Okay, gotcha. You're right. It is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It was poisonous food at the proper time.
right. Well, that's what I wanted to share. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.
So we need to become worldly wise. We really do. There was a great point that was brought out by Pasta Babe. We need to be worldly wise. This idea of worldly that the Watchtower Society put out is toxic. It's a toxic view that will poison any relationships that you try to have. Absolutely poison them. We don't want to poison relationships. We want to nourish relationships. We want to provide something that's good for them, good for us. Good thing to look up. But, healthy relationships. Cultivating healthy relationships. Look it up anywhere. There'll be so much information on it.
So here's a question without getting too personal. Someone is on the outside and now they don't have to worry about finding a brother as a, companion. So where do you go to find someone that you might be interested in? What do you do? There's all different places you can. We had that situation come up with one of the friends that called in, and they're having a hard time meeting someone.
It was a middle-aged
woman.
Yeah.
And, she's in a small town.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what kind of activities do you like to do? Do you like to go to the library? Do you like to go to health food stores? The types of things that you like to do, that's where you have to put yourself around people. And, you'll find like people of the same thing. You just have to put yourself out there.
I absolutely do. And if you think about it, human beings, the largest part of, as mammals, we're mammals. The largest part of us is our legs. It's true.
Yeah.
Isn't it true?
Yes.
Our legs, what are they designed for? Propelling us.
Right.
So we literally need to range around literally.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, nah, I want to sit all day. I just want to sit all day, and I'll be on the computer and I'll say, I guess you can do that. But again, we were designed to range around. Why? Because there's other people, and you'll interact with other people. So if you're not used to doing that, get started. Go
Yeah.
do, go to the library, go do volunteer work at the churches. I don't care, any church you want. Where else?
Some are taking up pickleball. That seems a very popular sport nowadays.
At your own risk, right? or whatever.
Or maybe walking in the park. You can meet people. Not that you can't meet people online, because we know happily married couples that have met each other online and it works out. But I think Joe is saying that don't just rely on the computer. There's other ways where you can, and also meet and greets. We love to do meet and greets, and we're trying to work out a meet and greet locally here in our area. And, let us know what places you are finding meet and greets. How are you finding people?
Yeah, we need to not just see the society meetings made it so easy. They made it so deceptively easy. They made us lazy.
Yes.
Lazy. We'll just go to the meetings and we'll get our interaction there at the meetings, and we'll arrange around and we'll meet and greet and we'll talk and we'll be friends. And no, that's you're not ranging around at all. You're being stuck with the same mindset. No one's being challenged in any way except to model that new personality that they want you to have. Anyone who's part of that organization will never be part of a more powerful, mind-controlling, behavior-shaping organization than that. It's mind-controlling and behavior-shaping. And we actually worked hard at complying. We worked hard at complying with their ideas and their will. And anyone who's still in, well, ask yourself, what are you doing? Are you still part of that mind-controlling, behavior-shaping organization? If you're there, you can't help. You're putting yourself there. You're in the beginning of the meeting, they have you stand up, they have you sing their songs, they have you listen to the prayer that they want you to hear. Then they want you to empty your mind. How about that? Your mind is filled with junk, so empty it. That's what they think. Empty your mind and have us fill it. We'll fill it for you. That's what you're exposed to when you're there. And that's the very thing that you have to empty your mind. They call it deconstructing. In other words, they built a very powerful structure within you, within us. They built it. We helped them. We cooperated. We said, yeah, we'll do this. I'll make this strong. We'll work on this. I'll work on that. We became what they wanted us to become. Well, no, it doesn't work in the world. It doesn't work. It's terrible. It's terrible. It has to be deconstructed. And so many talk about deconstructing. And you have to do that. And you have to know what you're deconstructing in order to deconstruct it. You could actually be protecting something that needs to be torn down. Mm-hmm. That's usually the case with people. They get used to something, so they don't want to get rid of it. Unfortunately, that's that way with a dirty kitchen. Sometimes they get used to a dirty kitchen, so they don't want to do anything about it. Or they get used to a dirty garage or dirty this or dirty that. Oh, you get used to it after a while. It's not so bad. Well, maybe it is. And that's something that you need to do some research on, compare yourself to others, and see if it's makes for anything healthy. If it gets you what you want, great.
Yep.
If it doesn't, you got some changes to make. And it's nice to make changes because, well, we experience new things that make us smile. And to make other people smile too. They say you can't be happy unless you're sharing it with someone else. Unless you're sharing happiness. It has to be shared. And that means, going out of our way for it. We've been meeting very nice people who've been going out of their way. And it's and we watch them go out of their way. And we watch very nice things take place. So we invite others to do that. The ones that are still in, we invite you to do everything you can to make your way out of that toxic arrangement.
Any other callers? Anyone have anything to say about their exit or a strategy or anything at all? Anything on your mind?
Any objections to what we say? I mean, everything I say is subject to consideration. Your consideration.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, this is Thomas Hotz from Lawrence, Kansas. How are you?
Hi, Thomas.
Good,
to hear
Thomas.
from
How are you?
Oh, it's great to hear you guys. Love you guys so much. You're just doing such a great job out there. I'm so proud of you. I just had to shout that out to you.
No, thank you.
Man, it was so good to meet you here in Lawrence, too. I really enjoyed every minute we had together. I wish it could have been longer, but hey, I'm glad that you could share a lot more time with so many others that really wanted to meet you.
Well, thank you, Thomas. Thank you. Having a hard time hearing you, but we can just about hear you.
I apologize. I'm not sure what I can do here. I'll try to make it better. Maybe it's the way I have it set up. But I was just going to say now, some people, they want to get out of the organization, so the elders want to meet with them. What they'll do is they'll get together with an attorney and write up something and get something from the doctor to prove they can't mentally take it, that they'll be responsible to push them over the edge to maybe a mental breakdown or suicide or something. I've heard a lot of elders will back off of that. And then also some of the friends out there, what they're doing is they're just flat out just having nothing to do with the organization, and they'll just completely fade and just fade away. And I don't know, it works for a lot of them, but I've heard of some like Zeb Letterman that had a real problem with them bums. They started shunning him, once he was fading. So it might pay to get a lawyer for those that haven't done anything yet and go the route with a doctor to try to stop that insanity by, proving to them medically you can't take this kind of stuff. But it's just a thought. Now, everybody can do what they want. It's just some suggestions they might consider.
Yes.
I appreciate your information. I thought it was very outstanding.
Well, no, that's great to have the different alternatives. It really is. It helps when ones like you, Thomas, and others that come up and give us the different alternatives. We need different alternatives. Help make a better decision. Thank you.
That's
Nice
true.
to hear from you, Thomas.
Yeah. Don't
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Thomas. And everyone, don't hesitate. I mean, sharing. If you see something positive possibilities or ways, just share them with each other. People need to know. You have the information that the other person needs.
I'm reading the comments and been watching Ray. Ray was on the program a couple weeks ago. He's newly out, and he says, in a month or two, I'm moving far away and not saying where I'm going either. So that is a strategy, is to move.
Yeah.
And where someone doesn't know your past history, the fact that you were a witness, and starting all over again. So that we didn't mention that, but that is a strategy.
Yeah. For some, it's a perfect opportunity for them to make a change that they need to make. They may need to move. for whatever reason, climate, employment, new people, new mentality, new situations. And this is the opportunity to do it.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You can start a new life.
That's right.
But on the other hand, for others, it may not be possible. It may not be practical. It may not even be advisable. Each person, has that opportunity to custom design their exit. And you will feel good doing it. You will feel good doing it. It's a freedom that is simply not allowed in that organization. Is freedom. We weren't designed to be enslaved by them. Here, the problem here is that the reason why it works is frankly because of greed. Unfortunately, see, you want that. People want that prize, as they keep saying. Keep pressing on for that prize of everlasting life, or whatever. There are other prizes too, I suppose. Call it whatever prize it is. You want that prize, and you're going to hang on. They know that, and they keep reminding you, "Oh, don't you miss that prize. Be patient now. Hang on." And that's what they're doing now. They're pushing people to be patient. Oh, be patient. You'll get that prize eventually. So don't do anything that would interfere with that prize.
Yeah, one thing that we've noticed, especially again with someone who's been born into that organization, is that they have a hard time dealing with dying and death.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were going to live forever.
Oh, yeah.
They were going to live right into the new system, into the paradise. They were going to live through Armageddon, and now they're faced with death. And me personally, I thought about it, living forever, but I never really, it didn't have that much of an impact on me. And now that I'm older and I'm 71 and I know that I'm going to die, I accept that. And my strategy is that I'm going to live every single day, the best day that I can, and have a good influence on at least one person, and take it one day at a time. Never mind this living forever thing. It's not a reality. And so you have to come up with a strategy to deal with that. And you have to be honest with yourself. I know we were listening to Dan and Angela, and they were talking about being honest. And so when you realize these things, you're not going to live forever. You have to be honest with yourself and come up with a strategy and say, well, you know what? I guess I'm going to start taking care of myself. I'm going to live my life the best way I possibly can.
Yeah, here's the trick that's played. See, I'm gonna be patient, and I'm gonna do everything I can to live at a paradise earth everlasting. I will never die. Boy, I'm gonna get everything I want. Well, in the meantime, they get you to give up your life. They get you to give up a career. They get you to give up marriage, give up having a child, give up doing things you like to do, like hobbies, or developing things you want to do. They get you to give that up, to trade it. See, it's a trade. Well, just trade this for that. All that stuff that you give up now, it's nothing compared to living forever. Well, is it really so?
I had a question for you guys.
Sure.
I was just wondering, seems like a lot of people, they struggle when they leave. How did you do programs so fast?
No, I think to try again with the last thing that you said. We can't quite hear.
Okay, let me. My Bluetooth might not be right.
I'll tell him for you, Joe and Fran. He wants to know how'd you deprogram so fast?
How did we deprogram so fast?
Yes.
Well, my goodness, we were 35
36 years.
We were 30. No. How many? How old were we?
We were 33 when
we were
first
33
started.
years old when we came in. We were brought up Catholic. We got too many years of college education, and plus doing all sorts of stupid things and interesting things in the world. So we really brought a lot to the table when we came into that organization. So we really didn't have to deconstruct too much, to be honest with you. I just had to resurface things that we always believed in and did.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the person that's
A
born
lot of people like myself. I mean, I left about 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went back 6 years later, or 8 years later for my family, and then I left again permanently. But it's been about half of my life.
Yeah.
So, and in that time, it took a long time to deprogram because I was born and raised in it.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. See, the very first thing you need to do is just to identify the things that you have to work on and to avoid. You know, things to avoid, things to develop. And there's different ones that can help you with that. There's different programs. I can't point you to anything right now, but I think if you just Google deprogramming as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll probably find some really good information there.
Or deprogramming from any cult.
Yeah, any cult. That's true. It's true. There are other cults other than Jehovah's.
It's just bad because they isolate you so bad that it makes you odd, and then you don't really know how to function in the real world.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to figure it out, and it's so shocking.
I agree, but you know, if you view it as exploring something new and discovering something interesting, I think you'll find that it'll be enjoyable, especially if you're in an environment where others love you, where others accept you. And I think that's the goal. The goal is to find.
I think you attract people. I don't know. I feel like the organization is kind of like a bunch of mental illness.
Yeah.
And I think when you first come out of it, you attract a lot of people with other kinds of problems because you don't know how to function. You don't know what's normal. You don't know which way is up.
That's true. I agree with you. No, I do agree. So, I mean, the biggest thing you can do then is be aware of that. Be aware of that. And you may want to identify situations that you feel are positive, are good, and just observe them. In other words, just watch them. I mean, you may feel uncomfortable there. You maybe feel like, well, I don't know if I can say anything, or just watch, just be there, and see how people relate and how they interact. We all need supportive environments.
Right. My parents, they were Catholic, and they were probably about your age when they became Jehovah's Witness.
Mm.
My mom, she has a hard time with shunning me. She hasn't done it. And my siblings have, but so I had a daughter recently, and my mom and dad this year will be married for 60 years.
Wow.
And they've never traveled without each other at all.
Wow.
Well, my wife had a C-section, and my mom had a C-section with me, and she felt a lot of compassion. So she took a flight by herself without my dad and came and stayed with us for a week.
Wow.
That's special.
She wasn't able to do that when I lived 2 hours away from her. And my 2-year-old, she wasn't there for her birth. So something's changed, I think. But
Wow.
I think she was trying to get me to go back to the organization. And I mean, no matter what I say to her backwards and forwards, no matter how logical I am, nothing seems to stick. It's like talking to a brick wall.
No, it's so true. You know, you're not going to change their minds logically. You're just not going to, because they're going to fight the logic every inch of the way. The biggest thing
Joe, we're getting into the news here, so I'll give you 2 minutes, and then we can kind of say last words here and wrap the program up. Very good, though. Lots of people listening in tonight. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Rick. Thank you. Yeah, no, caller. The best thing you can do, the best thing any one of us can do, is just live our best lives. To live the best life visibly that we can.
And also, being a mom, you can reassure your mother that you do love her.
That's right.
You love her, unconditionally.
That's right.
No matter what. And that's what we told our children.
I've always shown respect, like great respect for her and everything, and I never speak negatively. And
it's good.
It's hard not to sometimes.
Yeah, keep up doing that.
So much.
You're welcome. And
Yes.
thank you. And you may win her over just with your kindness and with your love.
And the reality and everything that I found is good people find good people. They just do. So we just be the best we can, and it works.
Yeah. Thank you all for calling in, and thank you, Rick.
Well, you guys did a good job tonight. Very good way. Lots of people coming in here through our various networks. So keep up the good work. They all love you, Fran and Joe. So keep moving in the same and right direction. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Rick.
you, and love you all.
So we're gonna talk about some of the things coming up here tonight. We've got JW World News. That's coming up next, right here on the 6 screens. And we got a lot to talk about on the news, but at 9 o'clock tonight, I don't want you to miss this program. Even if you're going to miss the news, don't worry about it. I want you to listen in at 9 o'clock on Barbara Anderson's program. She has Deborah Hines coming in. Deborah Hines is going to tell her story of horrific abuse in the Watchtower, right at the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses in Brooklyn, New York. So she's coming on tonight to talk all about that, and she's got a lot of courage. So we're looking forward to her program tonight at 9 o'clock. We got the news coming up next, so stay with us. We're going to end this broadcast, and we're going to switch over to JW World News coming up next right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork.